All right. Well, good day, all Rotarians and guests alike. Welcome to this our third meeting for the month of June 2022. I want to give a special welcome to our own Rotarian Kino for hosting our roundtable discussion today on fatherhood, its influence and impact. And I'm sure this event today will be both lively and informative. Now turning the program back over to our Rotarian Melvin, our MC for today.
Apologies, Michael. Sheila's internet just went down.
Hi, Melvin, you're on. Hello.
Yeah, sorry, Sheila's system went down, so we can't hear anything you're saying. I'm gonna try to pull it up on my computer. Progress.
Getting some feedback there.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, I think you 3 days. Yeah. Presides all the officers and members of the satellite club. Yes, so you can start with the Rotary race.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Please stand for the Rotarian grace. Say, bless us, O Lord, with thy gifts. Prosper us in our labor and grant that we may become truly loyal Rotarians, amplifying the object of Rotary in our service to our communities and families. Amen.
Amen.
And thank you very much, Monique. We'll go straight into the loyal toast by Rotarian Donnelly.
Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. A royal toast to the Queen and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thank you.
Thank you, Donnelly. We'll go right into our welcome of all the visiting Rotarians to those non-Rotarian guests.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So our Sergeant unfortunately is unable to join us in person today. So I have been tasked with doing the welcome. But before we get into that, President Michael, do you have a few words that you want to say before we get into the welcome?
All right. It sounds like we switching things up a little bit, but anyway, just want to mention, as seen yesterday on our Rotary chat, the Rotary Club of Nassau and its satellite club were the recipients of a donation of 3,000 KN95 face masks, courtesy of the Chinese embassy here in the Bahamas. We want to thank Rotarian Melvin for arranging this timely donation. The shipment is on its way to Cat Island as we speak, and I'm sure they will be used satisfying a critical need there on the island. Secondly, RC RCOB tickets, sales are still ongoing. RCOB is trying to get a approval for a reschedule of the draw date, which was tentatively scheduled for June 30th. Details of this new date will be provided as soon as it's confirmed. And lastly, just a note, I think you've seen it on the screen, RCN changeover is scheduled for next Tuesday. It'll be an evening event, so we won't be having a 1 o'clock meeting. Tickets are still available. And this is a special appeal to all RCN members to come out and support this final event for the Rotary calendar year. Back over to you, Melvin.
Right, thank you. Thank you. One thing I want to add to my, I sent out an email and note today, just saying that our COB will be partnering with the Bahamas Police Force. Doing I 30th, well, actually the 30th, which is Thursday. So it's from 10 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. So anyone I see if you click on the link that you should be able to get in to actually register if you're available to do that. Okay. So do we have any visiting Rotarians on the call via Zoom? I don't see anyone in person. So do we have any visiting Rotarians on the call today via Zoom? Okay, doesn't look so. Okay, do we have any non-Rotarian visitors? Anita, I see that your guest is on.
Shelby. Thank you, Chantal, always for the invite.
Hi, Shelby. Thanks.
Yes, and yes, Debbie's on as well.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Debbie. Good to see you again.
Yes,
Hi,
thank you.
and, okay, Monique, I think you have one or two guests on as well.
Hi, yes, I'm here, but I'm dealing with some guests. I have a guest that is online, Miss Cam. She's online.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon.
Hi, welcome. Now last week, I filled in for the sergeant and I had to pay a fine because I didn't have any jokes to tell. So what I did this week in preparation, I actually raised up to the
Shanta, we getting a lot of feedback online. Does somebody have a phone on that's close to the mic?
No, we're not hearing any feedback, so I'm not sure. No one here thinks it's not. So I'm not sure what that is. But looks like please I don't think it looks like your internet may be in and out. Yeah, unfortunately, looks like Tony's internet in and out. So I will try. Yeah, it keeps sticking. It looks like it keeps freezing. Yeah, every time he moves, it looks like it's freezing. Okay, so.
Yeah, I'm getting feedback too.
I'm not sure why. But we don't check feedback. Okay, so I got actually complained last week after I paid the fine. So chicken pox, bird flu, swine flu, mad cow, COVID, now monkey pox. I don't know if I should go to see a doctor. I'll see that. Okay, I gotta laugh. Excellent. All right, I will turn it back over to Melvin now, and I was trying to figure out what's happening with the feedback, but I guess they're not hearing any here.
Thank you very much, Sergeant Acting. We are going to go right into the ceilings here. I'm gonna ask PR, yes, Sheila, give us the change of the room. That's great.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tony's just come online, you know. Tony? Tony, speak to us. Oh, gone again. Okay, everyone, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Well, I'm here to nag at you about the changeover again. I have tickets and we need to see your faces out there for this. Remember, this is the time when, as I said before, you say thank you to the outgoing president. Welcome our new president who will be inducted by AG Ken at the event. And also there's some great raffle prizes for those of you who may not have been at the meeting last week. We were given 2 airline tickets by Frontier to raffle at the event. And Michael, I found that huge bottle of Appleton's rum that you gave for a raffle prize a way back, which I had squirreled away and happened to find again. So that'll be one of the other prizes, and there are more prizes to come. We've got great food. We've got a DJ, so bring your dancing shoes, and don't forget we're having a special performance by our dancing queen, who is trying to pretend she doesn't hear me. Is she Chantel?
Sorry?
I was just telling everyone you're going to be doing a special dancing queen performance.
Absolutely not.
Well, anyway, it'll be a fun evening, everyone. Come out and cheer on the people who are getting their awards. And we also have some Paul Harris fellows that we're giving out as well. Please contact Chantel for tickets. You can pay online or you can pick your ticket up at the door when you arrive. We begin early, so get here at 6:30 and have a fun evening. And we need to see all of you out there. We want it so full that we run out of seats. As long as we don't run out of bread pudding, I'll be happy. Anyway, thanks everyone.
Hey, Sheila, nothing evaporated out that bottle, eh?
So much, Sheila. And moving right along because time is of the essence. I'll invite Rotarian Kino, who will come and bring us up to date with membership and the buddy popcorn. And indeed, he will go straight into the roundtable discussion about fatherhood, influence, and the impact of fatherhood. Rotarian Kino.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Well, we're ready to do a roundtable discussion. We have the round table, but I don't have my man, but that's okay. We're going to continue on. We have a number of men who we will be asking questions. And I really want to reiterate what Sheila talked about just now regarding the changeover. Now, changeover is a little different. The good thing is that the changeover will be in the evening, right, Sheila? We won't be in the middle of the day. No one will be able to say that I have work to go to. I only have a lunch hour for lunch. I only have 1 hour for lunch. I cannot drive all the way down to the yacht club because I work all the way out west. So I am also going to be, as a person working in membership, I'm asking that every individual who is a Rotarian of this particular club, the original club, to be in their place. make sure that you do get your ticket. I know everyone in here is going to be there, correct?
I just had a
Everyone?
brilliant idea.
Yes,
If you don't buy a ticket, I think we should fine them
$55.
$55.
I absolutely, okay, let's show a show of hands. Who's gonna agree with Sheila? And if you're not doing, you're fine. We'll give $55. That's one. Go with once, go with twice. Hold on, Mr. President. Mr. President, I think we have just passed a resolution, Mr. President. I hope that is okay. So if you are not here next and you are alive, let me just say that, just in case you decide to dip out between now and then, we pray not. But if you are alive and you are on the island at 6 Sheila?
6 is a good time.
6, what time do we start?
6:30.
6:30, come early to get a parking spot. So I expect everyone to be in place if you are alive and not in the hospital and not on oxygen and you don't have COVID. Let me just say that.
What about if they're off island? Are we gonna let them off? Or-
Now send you $55.
Oh,
Ain't nobody tell you buy a ticket to go away. And you know,
They should
change
never
over,
make it
right?
off
I rough it. Yes, that's right. That's why I'm in membership. So $55. If you are online, you should be saying amen to that. Let's see all the hands that are going up. So I'm calling out everybody. Sandra, who else I calling out? Who else who on the line? Deborah, Kathleen, Lana, Celie, what that's Charlene? Dr. Nita, my good friend, Dr. Nita. Samita, I hope your daughter. I hope she's okay. All the graduation should be done. So I expect everyone to be in house. We should have a full house, Sheila, a full house. So we're looking forward to that. Well, I'm going to get right into my interview. I have a number of persons who I'm scheduled to interview. My brother, like you, are going to be the only person. you're going to be the only person. So Jamal is here. And we're going to have 1 or 2 men who are online. Who's that? Is that Darren?
Yes.
Darren, I am going to include you in this. You are actually on my list. Darren, is Stephen on? Is PP Stephen on?
No, I don't see Stephen. Sorry.
Tony
Wallace is on.
Tony,
Yes.
you're on. Tony, you are now going to be on this panel. Tony Wallace, and what's the other male? Any other male? Any other fathers who are on? Well, this past week we all celebrated. Hopefully, all of you celebrated Father's Day, and I hope all the fathers had a wonderful time. I don't think you had crab and rice. I don't know if you did, but if you didn't, please see Chantel. She'll make sure that you get some crabs from Andros.
Oh, really now?
But we want to ensure that we have a great time this morning asking these questions. I don't have to go into any introductions of the men who are here. The main qualification is that you are male and you are a father. And a lot of times.
Sorry, I just interrupt you.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Some persons who are fatherly figures, even more some fathers and others, kids.
Male and father.
Male and fatherly figures.
Fatherly figure.
Because there may be persons
who are not, do not have any children? Yes, yes.
You have persons like that. And I know my good friend Melvin Seymour.
Melvin is there?
Yes, see Melvin.
Melvin right next to me.
Yes.
Let me just stretch my hand right here. Melvin has just been my list. Melvin. Okay, Melvin. Thank you so much, Melvin, for volunteering.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you stepping up today. So here we go. I have a number of questions that I would like to ask you, gentlemen. And ladies, listen carefully, because sometimes a lot of ladies have to step in and also act as authority figures in their home. But today we're going to be celebrating our men and our father figures. So here's the first question. I'm going to send out to you, gentlemen. The first question I have for you is this, and seeing that you're here, Dwayne, you and Melvin, I'm going to ask both of you to answer this question. What influenced you the most growing up to become a father that you are today, or a father figure that you are today? What are some of the influences that you have in your life that has impacted you?
Speaking, so wanted I did not always think, because my parents probably didn't know that it was like safe for, I wanted more like the younger, right? And one of the things I said, my oldest son was growing up, I decided to buy him a motorbike. It was one of those, safe, small ones, but mechanical nonetheless, a good one. And I'm proud of that moment because I know that was something that made me, I think, happier. I've gotten it at the age that he got it. So, answer the question you asked as to what would make me be a father, what as a child made me become a father I am today, I think it is to just ensure that my child knows that, or my children know that they have the support and they have the guidance that that's necessary to help them in life as they grow older. So not having all the things I want, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And I'm not saying that that's what I do now as part of my children, whatever they want. But I try to at least, make their lives happier. And I think that's what really propelled me as a youngster today. Thank you very much.
The question is, what influenced you the most growing up to become a father figure that you are today? What influenced you most? What impacted you the most?
I'm not a father, but I take on that role from time to time. I'm one of 7 boys in my family. I'm the 11th of 12 children. And I saw this strength in my father, he was never afraid of hard work, of sweating, of doing any task just to provide for his children. That type of spirit encouraged me. And so I worked hard for 46 years and I'm now retired. But in going forward, I think most of us need to provide the example that we need in whether it's the community or in our own individual families. In my community where I'm from, and I grew up in Cat Island in a little settlement called Knowles, every Sunday men used to go to church. And you hardly see men in church today. You see mostly ladies. The ladies are in there, but the men are also in there carrying out roles. I like that. So therefore, I am doing similar things in my church. In my community, the men fish and they were hunters and gatherers. Same thing should happen today. So those influences from the past give me a stronger resolve to go forward and to encourage my nephews, friends, neighbors, and the like.
Thank you very much, Mother. You had more siblings than my fingers on my hand. Just saying that, I mean, you had a community within yourself. You had everyone, you didn't need to go to neighborhood place. You just stayed right home with your family. That's very good. But I'm coming over to you, that one, Darren, both you and Tony, my question to you is, as a father, did you ever have difficulty disciplining your child? And I Tony's gonna love this question. Because I know how Tony feels about discipline, but did you have a difficulty disciplining your child or children?
I yield to Tony first.
You're still muted, Tony.
Sorry, that was a question directed at myself. Could you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
we can.
And the question is, did I ever have any trouble disciplining my children?
Yes.
The answer is no. I had enough respect and authority that my children most always did what I asked them to, when I asked them to. I don't know if that's is that a good enough answer?
Did you ever have to, when you said they obviously they had a lot of respect for you. Did you?
Let me back up if I can. I don't want to take up too much time, but the first question was, what influenced you as a father? And for me, as for most people who are fortunate enough to have a father, one of my major influences in parenting and being a father was my father. My father was a captain in the Royal Marines during the war. He spent 2 days off the Normandy beaches during the D-Day landings. He was a big man as a Royal Marine, and he had 5 children, including myself. And bringing us up, he never used corporal punishment. We were never beaten. We were brought up with respect. He respected us, so we respected him. And I have to say, I have contempt for people who beat their children. I would like to see it be made illegal. I think it's unnecessary. I think it teaches the children totally the wrong thing. So when I brought up my children, I brought them up with respect. I respected them as a person, a human being. And the same way as I would not dream of hitting any of the people in this room here, I would never dream of hitting any of my children. Which I know is controversial.
Hey, Tony.
Yes.
I'm a father also, and I vehemently disagree with you in the legislation to that. I don't have to spank my kids either. I've been blessed. I have twin boys, but I believe it's a choice for each parent because not every child is the same. Your children might have been, and I'm blessed too. I have really fantastic kids, but not every child is the same. I know individuals, they've done everything they could for their kids, but the kids are just unruly. And so it all depends on the situation and the circumstances. It's just like you saying, what may work for you? I've never smoked or drank alcohol in my house in my life. My kids have never seen me do that. But that doesn't mean that one day that they may not smoke or drink. It all depends on the individual. With saying it should be banned or illegal,
yes,
it's a choice. I'm a parent, I have a choice. You're a parent, you have a choice. We could disagree, but you're gonna never change my mind on that. And I'm just letting you know, to each his own. And so for you to keep stressing this importance about never hitting your children and I don't have to hit my kids. I've never, I could count the times on one hand where I ever had to discipline one of my children. But guess what? To each his own. This is why we live in a free democratic society. You have choices. And so the choice for me to decide whether or not I want to discipline my kids is my choice alone, not yours or not any government official, unless they make it, like you say, illegal. And like I say, I will be fighting against that. So I'm just letting you know, because I keep hearing you bring it up, but I totally disagree with it. So just wanted to bring my 5 cents into it.
That's fine. It's a big world and there's room for different opinions.
That's right.
I would like to see the Bahamas become less violent. We live in a very violent society.
Well, guess what? Even in countries like I saw you talk about
see that
Norway and
violence
so
made
forth.
illegal so that you cannot beat your children, as has happened in several countries of the world.
But that doesn't make that country, they still have criminals and killers and violent people in those countries as well. So you just got to remember, I watched a documentary on Norway and different countries where they have prisons where they're like country clubs, but they still have some of the most heinous people. Remember the guy who went on the island and killed like 69 people, and now he's free, and now he's eligible for bail? It all depends on the circumstances, Tony. Not everybody is alike. And you have to realize
I'll step in here. Let me just give a
and just to reiterate,
I love
Tony,
this
I've never
discussion.
had to discipline my kids more than probably 5 times in the 18 years of their life. And that's the 2
Yeah,
of them.
let me step in as the moderator. Let me step in. Our discussion today is not centered around corporate punishment.
Oh, I agree.
At all.
Hey, all of this has to do, all of this has to do with being a good parent. And because someone disciplines their children does not mean that they are not a good parent.
Right.
Like I said, fortunate for me, I didn't grow up with a father. I grew up with my mother. My mother was my father and my mother. But at the end of the day, I believe that I still was a good provider for my sons. And I'm very proud of that. And so if I used to spank them or discipline them in a particular way, I don't think that should disqualify me from all the other things that I may have done. And so that's one aspect of parenthood, but that's not the final or the all be all or end be all of anything. To each his own. That's all I'm saying. Like I said, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. My sons could never see me smoking a cigarette, but does that make me a bad parent? Or if I did, of course not. Just my 5 cents.
As we only have a certain amount of time and a number of questions, I'm going to suggest that in person, Tony's still going to be away, I think. But Dwayne, hopefully at the changeover, you could discuss that more. If you don't come, send you $55. And say that you want to discuss more, put another $20 with that. But you don't have too much of my time. But here's how I'm going to answer that question. Every parent, every individual knows their child. And based on how you operate in your home, you know how disciplined. In Tony's case, discipline to him meant just taking a look at the child or respect, like he indicated. In your home, Dwayne, you didn't necessarily have to resort to corporal punishment, but if you needed to, you would have done it. But like I've learned, every parent knows their child and knows what's the right way to discipline their child or children. So we're moving right along. Sorry, Darren, you didn't get to answer that question, so I'm going to move right on to the next question. The next question for you, Darren, is what advice would you give to a young father or to a person who may not be a father yet, but what advice would you give to that individual who is about to become a father?
Try as best as you can to spend as much time with your children as you can. And this is something I'm learning as well. And play with them. Get on the ground, play with them. I think that goes a long way. And don't take for granted that if you buy gifts, that is sufficient. I'm learning, because my children are still young, that they value me being at home more than any gift that I could buy for them.
Thank you very much. Time is the most precious commodity we have. Material things could go away, but time, like you said, is the most important thing. And I think no one in this room could ever complain about their father spending time with them. It really makes a big difference if your father's going to spend time with you. As I prepare to set up this other question that Rotarian Stephen Dean will answer, as I prepare to ask this question, between his bites, I'm going to let him swallow that so that he can prepare to answer this question, so that when I ask this question, he's prepared. Rotarian Stephen Dean, what legacy would you want to leave behind for your children? What legacy? Yes, sir. That's why I was preparing you.
Okay, if I look at a legacy, there's many, but I'll try to put them in a cap, put it on the cap, so to speak. I like a legacy of my children and how I treat my wife and my whole family. How I take care of them. I can't take them, right? I don't want to depend on my wife's salary to survive. So take everything, take care of bills, take care. I would want my son and my children to protect my son. Follow that model, not to get married. This woman would help him. All right? I want him, but I take care of things. That's what I think. I think that's the role of the male. I can't complain. One thing he was lying. Things they made that woman satisfied. All right. I learned about that. It takes me a while to learn that one, right? If somebody takes it, tell you straight. I mean that.
Because most men have a challenge. You talked about providing everything for your family. Most men work extremely, but women and men work extremely hard. But it's very difficult to balance work and family life. My question for each one of you, men, is that how were you able to balance both work and find quality time to spend with your child or children, or as a guardian in your case, Melvin? How, and of course, 11 children, anyway, that's but how were you able to balance that time with family and the time with work? Gentlemen, who would like to start off with that?
Also, in my case, it is through family function, whether it is Mother's Day and we all gather at the same place, whether it's Father's Day and we gather at the same place, whether it's somebody's birthday or a sibling birthday or any other relative. So we are able to do things together more so than apart. So we come together religiously during Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and things like that.
Okay, thank you very much. Who else would like to respond to that? Jamal, while you between that go, Kiara, Mike.
I mean, I know that my eldest son, finding that balance would have been difficult, especially when you starting a career and really trying to earn the family. As I got older now, I think that I realized that how time goes by so quickly. You know, he's now 22, and I say, where did that time go? But now I have two younger ones now, and you know, regardless of me trying to earn, I make time. I find that time to make time to say that, you know, this is even more important than going to the office. So either I incorporate them with me at work, or I reserve a certain time, especially when it's at home time. I take no work home to do any homework. I leave that at the office. That's their time. So you got to prioritize, is what prioritize. And one thing I would say to younger fathers that even though now you're in the pursuit of earning and making money, never ever neglect or not include as priority your children.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go with you, Wayne. Wayne, you still there? Okay.
Yes, I am. Sorry about that.
But question?
Sorry, Keno, I couldn't hear you.
My question is, how do you balance both work and finding quality time to spend with your child or children?
It could be extremely challenging at times because sometimes you want to provide for them and give them the best, and some of the things that you may not have had as a kid, and sometimes that requires a lot of time and sacrifice, and you don't understand how important it is until you get older. And by that time they're already adults, and so I think it's important for all men to have a balance and to understand that it isn't always about being the best provider, but being the best presence, being there present for them, being able to help them and to show them what a good role model should be like. So it could be difficult. It's a truly a balancing act, but as I got older, I got wiser, and I understand the importance of putting things aside that you may call earners, but in order to help to build a better bond with your children.
Okay, thank you very much. Tony?
Okay, yeah, I don't think it's possible for myself. You know, like many of the fathers here, I had to work very hard, you know, the usual 60 hours a week or whatever. And in the early years, certainly my wife definitely took the burden of bringing our children up. The only way that I try to address the balance is to have quality time with my children. And mostly this was, I had access to a sailboat. So I would take my children on a 2 or 3 day trip down to Shroud Key in Exuma. And we're all stuck on a 27-foot, 28-foot boat for 3 or 4 days, and it's creating memories that they'll never forget. So that's the way that I sort of dealt with that best as I could. But on a day-to-day basis, oftentimes I wouldn't see them in the morning. I'd leave to work before they got up, and sometimes I'll be back after they'd gone to bed. But that's how it is.
Do you still have that 20-foot boat, Tony?
No, well, the boat ended up being destroyed in Hurricane Dorian. It ended up as a lawn ornament about a quarter of a mile inland at Marsh Harbour.
Well,
So,
sorry to
no.
hear that, but I used to think it would be good for the reef.
Yeah, it was very sad.
But I asked you because I thought it was still, you still had the boat so that you and I could have stayed down today so much, but we'll talk about that later. Who else is there? That's Darren. What about you, Darren?
No, I have not been able to strike a healthy balance as yet. I'm trying. And so I think that they're really like Fridays, for example, I would make sure that it's a sort of happy hour for us in terms of my wife and the kids. And then Sundays in particular, I don't engage in anything outside of spending time with the family. So I think those are perhaps my most set aside days for spending time specifically without being interrupted. But through the week, it's difficult. I haven't been able to strike that balance as yet.
And Darren, I really appreciate you, your transparency in saying that, because it is difficult trying to handle everything as a father. I'm still trying to be there for your family and your children. It's not easy. And I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to ask the women a question. And then I'm going to come back to you. I have 2 more questions for you, gentlemen. But I'm going to ask the women a question. What do you look for in a father, in a man who's going to take care of your family, children, women? What do you look for? What are some qualities that you think are very, very important? I was coming straight. The man who is getting a glass of wine, she has to talk, and then right after that, go to the young. They don't know what do you look for? Because sometimes men do things, and sometimes they do things that kind of get women upset. But what do you look for in a man? That's what it is. Go ahead.
Good day, everyone. Well, I lost my father at the age of 2. So I've never had a father figure to know what to look for. But if I had to go on just what I see, it would be someone who is able to lead his home, someone who's able to support, take care of his family, not just on the financial level, but also the emotional, the spiritual level, all of those things intertwined. So to make it that way.
She can't wait. Your husband. How did you say your husband? What do you look for? Oh, hey,
I guess a partner. I think when I was going through counseling in a marriage, I think we like to say give 100, 100. But I was taught that it's not always 100, 100. I think that you have to recognize in a partnership each other's strengths. And so one day your partner may have 90, you have to make up the other 10. And so it's not always meet me 50-50 because your 50 and my 50 may be 2 different 50s. And I think we have to understand that when 2 become 1, that 1 makes 100. And so we're not always, my strength might be the financial controller. Your strength might be, let's say, someone who is more emotionally attached, but that's where your greater half, the 100 becomes. And I think that we have to recognize that instead of, oh, you're not giving me 100, none of us are always 100. But where I fall, that person should be able to pick you up. And that's what I look for most of the time, it's partnership. All right.
You can start it. If you can start it.
Sheila, this is a career woman who opted not to have kids, okay?
What do you look for? What do you look for in a leader, a male?
Which one?
You're married.
Which one?
She wants to be the leader.
I would skip to somebody else if I were you.
Okay, all right, ladies.
I have 3 children.
Okay.
And well, unfortunately, my husband died nearly 3 years ago, but he was, you know, I'm looking back now, not what I look forward to, to finish that. But he was excellent in the fact that we supported each other. We might not have always agreed, you know, but we never let the children see that. But we always supported each other, and that's the sort of thing you need. Like the lady said, I have certain strengths. Being in business, I ran the household financially. But my husband was the disciplinarian, because the children could wrap me around their little finger. I'd do anything they said. I was terrible like that. But when they were in trouble, it was mommy. So that's how it is. You have to work together. You're a team. There's no more role playing. You're a team.
Wow, very good. This is very good advice, especially for those who are on the call, to understand the importance of working together. It's not a one solo, it's not a solo show, it's a together team. Go ahead, yes, ma'am.
Oh, gee. What are we talking about? Husbands or fathers or what?
Husbands, what do you look for? Partnership.
Yeah.
Father.
It'll be a good father. I mean, it's been some years since my husband died, but he was a good father to my son. But he was the provider, although I worked a little bit as well. But I was the one really who did most of the things with my son. Not that, but then usually on the weekends, then we would have a Friday night, we would go out, you know, together, usually to McDonald's. And we went on a number of trips. And when we go on those trips, you know, we had the experience of then of, you know, being together and working together. And but as I say, as far as my son was concerned, I mainly was not that he wouldn't discipline the time, but I was the main one that spent time with them. And, I don't know how.
Thank you. No, that was good. Thank you very much. Very quickly, we have a minute to answer this question. Would you like to answer that question? Lana?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Right, I'm sorry, Lana, you doesn't put each other out there.
Yeah, I guess that's well, like most older women, I had 2 marriages. The first one, I was 25. I didn't really know what I wanted. You grew up, you had to date someone. You couldn't have date 10 people in my day. You had to have someone, one person. So my sister had one, and then her best friend was my boyfriend, and my other sister had, there were 3 best friends. So we married 3 best friends. So mine didn't quite work out. After 5 years, I decided I wasn't finished growing yet. So that I got a divorce. We had one daughter who's the most wonderful person in the world. And we never showed her any anger, any animosity. We blended both our families. She's now 40 something and she has 2 families and is very happy with both of us. The second marriage was 27 years after that. That lasted 18 years. And he was the most wonderful human being I've ever known and ever met in my life. And he died 5 years ago. So I'm looking for a new husband. only if he measures up to Nick Vasilika. He has to measure up. Otherwise, I don't need anything else. He was just wonderful. He's the first man who ever took me shopping. He waited for me. What? Everybody else, all my sisters and all my friends, they were too rushing. He sat down in the man chair at every store we ever went to and waited. He was a good provider. He was so affectionate. It was crazy. So I'm a lucky person.
Yeah, you look at that boy, boy, you keep looking, keep looking.
Yeah.
You tell Tamika and you have something, you have a brother. Yeah.
And we're wonderful, blended family.
Oh, sorry, Tamika, you on the one, you on the one. Okay, very quickly, I only have 3 more minutes. Gentlemen, very quickly, in less than a minute, I want you to answer this question. What is the most significant, no, I'm gonna go to the next one. What has brought you the greatest joy as a father? Very quickly, I'm gonna go with you gentlemen online first. What has brought you the greatest joy, very quickly, as a father? Amongst all of the stuff that you face, the challenges, what has brought you the greatest joy? Go, Darren.
My daughter now knows how to make scrambled eggs.
I love it. I love it. Go, Tony. You're still new, Tony. Tony, that's a new.
Right, okay,
Yeah,
you hear me
good.
now? Yeah, the
Yeah.
answer is grandchildren.
But Tony, you are spoiled. Let me just say it on record. You are one spoiled person. Showing off all that picture of your granddaughter. Behave yourself. Grandchildren. I think someone said if they could have skipped to grandchildren and leave the children, they would have skipped doing something. But anyway, Dwayne, what has brought you the greatest joy as a father? You're muted.
Just a level, good afternoon, everyone. Just a level of respect that my sons have grown up with, and I know that one day they will make excellent husbands.
Okay. Wow, wonderful, wonderful. Brothers, gentlemen over here.
Well, I would say seeing the development. And then, I saw the other day, my partner's daughter, my father wasn't feeling very well. And my daughter went to her and put a cover, a blanket over her, brought her some water. And just seeing stuff like that. My son, the younger one, he's very mannerly. Those type of things is the greatest joy I've seen so far.
Excellent, excellent. PP Stephen Dean.
Just like the birth of Christ, the birth of our children.
That's right.
Wow.
That's it. That's the best moment.
You answer that question. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, for adopting a very valuable topic. Thank you so much. You're never too old to learn. I learned a lot today.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna find a good husband for, and she's looking for that good husband. Both of them looking for good husband.
Any questions or comments before we move on? Yes. Great.
Very quick.
One second.
There was a time he talked about when he was at his entrepreneurship gap between him spending enough time with us now, 22 years old. How are you able to bridge that gap of the time you lost, if you lost any time? And how do you now see it, like you talked about, okay, now you have time, good, but how are you able to bridge that gap between the time you lost to the oldest son?
Well, because to tell you the truth, I'm not sure why she ever bridged that gap. The best I can do now is to ensure that my older son knows that he has me regardless, because now I'm on his time. So I gotta do this. He knows that I'm more accessible. That's the best I can do.
Any more questions, comments? If who's say that we're all with that.
It's his favorite part.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's on the bottom there somewhere.
Larry, did we ask you to move the rotary bills? Sorry.
Please join with me. All of you who are here, all our guests, now Rotarians, and to all of those Rotarians who are there. Let's join with Rotarians everywhere in a toast to Rotary all over the world.
Very good.
It's been a good day. I think President Mike is still on. So President Mike, I'll turn it back to you.
Where did you get that from?
Interesting.
Thank you all so much. That was great.
You can use it.
You know, I love the fact that you call on it. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. But I love the responses. A lot of reason I get talk afterwards, you know, you gotta get some of the pointers, you know? But thank you all so much. Those of you online, those of you here, thanks so much for attending. Look forward to seeing you on next week, Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. right here at the Yacht Club. We are having a changeover ceremony. I know the focus is on President Mike and all the wonderful things he did. I am being installed. So thank you all again. Of course, we always have our parking lot, so we can have discussion. So I don't know if Renee and Tony is still on. This is the time to have that discussion if you want to.
Chantel, why don't you go one by one with the people online and ask when they want to pick their ticket up or when can we get their fine?
So apparently Sheila would like to take over the parking
No,
lot
she
right
doesn't
now.
want
Yes.
to.
The microphone is right there on the table. Yes, please do.
Oh, here it is.
But thank you. If we have any other fathers who are on the call.
I think everyone should follow suit and get 2 tickets like yourself. Everyone should follow suit and get 2 tickets.
Sorry, Gina, I did not hear you clearly. Okay.
Everyone hear me? I said everyone should get 2 tickets like myself. I got 2 tickets for the changeover party. Everyone should follow suit and get tickets.
Yes.
Excellent. That's a great idea.
Jamal hasn't bought a ticket yet.
2 tickets.
Jamal doesn't have a ticket yet. How many would you like?
Come on, you guys.
Thank you for that, Gina. I was saying, Christopher, if you're still on, I know we didn't get to chat with you, but you're a father as well. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to chime in.
Oh, yes. Hi, yes, ma'am. Yeah, well, you know, it's probably a selfish thing, but when I come home after a rough day, you know, and the children are oblivious of what the day is like or what's going on out there, and they just take you out of that zone of thinking of the challenges and work and all that stuff. So that's my happiest part of the day, you know, coming home to them and having them take me out of that zone. Other than that, you know, the pride in seeing all the accomplishments and them following the guidance that their mom and I try to instill in them.
Thank you. Jonathan, I know you're a father as well. If you want to chime in. Jonathan, are you still there? Okay. Jonathan is like Darren, he's got really young children. So I'm sure they keep him very active. All right. Well, thank you all again. You sure you don't want to make another movie?
You can do it. You're on the microphone.
All right, thank you. If there's nothing else for our parking lot. Thank you again. You can enjoy the rest of your day. Till next week.
Till next week.
Oh.
Now, the secretary of